Level 1, Bud/S Trainee. Most people who apply to become a Navy SEAL never even make it to the first day of training. You did. Out of thousands of applicants, you were selected. But right now, holding that letter, you have no idea what you just signed up for. You arrive at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in California. The Pacific Ocean is right there, blue, calm, and beautiful. In a few hours, you'll be cursing every wave in it. The instructors are already watching from a distance, and you haven't even started yet. Day 1. They don't ease you in. From the first minute, instructors are in your face, screaming, testing your reaction, looking for any sign of weakness. They want to know one thing. When everything hurts and nothing makes sense, will you quit? The surf torture starts almost immediately. They march you into the freezing Pacific Ocean and make you sit there, waves crashing over you, temperature dropping, your body screaming at you to get up and leave. This isn't about fitness, it's about your mind. Boat carries. You and 6 teammates lift an inflatable rubber boat above your heads and run for miles through sand and water. Your neck burns, your shoulders feel like they're tearing, but you don't put it down because your team is counting on you. The obstacle course is a monster. Walls, ropes, cargo nets, balance beams. You run it over and over, every day faster, every day cleaner. The times that got you selected to be here are already not good enough anymore. They call it being sugared, rolling in the wet sand until every inch of your body is covered. It gets in your eyes, your ears, your mouth. Combined with the cold water and physical exhaustion, it's a level of discomfort most humans never experience. The bell. All you have to do to end the pain is walk up and ring it 3 times. Some days you stare at that bell for a long time. Some of your friends ring it. Good people, strong people, and every time someone quits, the instructors don't react. Because they expected it. Sleep becomes a luxury. In the first weeks, you're running on 3 to 4 hours a night. You learn to fall asleep in under 60 seconds because every minute of rest is precious. You also learn something darker, how to function when your mind is completely broken from exhaustion. Hell Week is coming. 5.5 days, roughly 130 hours of continuous training with a total of maybe 4 hours of sleep. 200 miles of running, swimming, and carrying boats. It is designed to break you completely. Hell Week. You're crawling through mud at 3 a.m., cold beyond anything you thought your body could survive, having not slept in 4 days, and somehow you keep moving. Not because you're superhuman, but because you decided before you got here that you would never ring that bell. Combat diving phase. The instructors try to induce panic underwater, pulling off your mask, tying your air hose in knots. You have to calmly fix the problem while your lungs burn. Panic means death in the field, so panic is trained out of you here. Land warfare phase, desert heat, rugged terrain, weeks of weapons training and combat scenarios. The ones left aren't the strongest or the fastest. They're the ones who simply refuse to stop. Graduation. The trident. The golden pin that separates Navy SEALs from every other military force on the planet is pressed into your chest. You don't flinch. You've been through Hell Week. What it represents is everything. You stand on that beach, the same beach where you sat freezing in the surf on day 1, and everything feels different now. You are a Navy SEAL. Less than 1% of those who try ever make it here. Bud/S wasn't the mission. Bud/S was just the door. What's on the other side is what you actually signed up for. Level 2, SEAL Operator. You have the trident. Now you're assigned to your first team, SEAL Team 3, based in Coronado. The guys around you have been on real deployments, real missions. They've seen things, and they're watching to see if you belong here. Advanced training never stops. Even as a qualified SEAL, you spend months on the shooting range, in the gym, in the water. The difference now is that everything is faster, heavier, and more precise. A miss in training is embarrassing. A miss in the field is fatal. Your first real deployment, Middle East. You can't say where exactly that's classified. What you can say is that the streets are narrow, the nights are dark, and every shadow could be a threat. You move differently now, not like a soldier, like a ghost. You spend 3 nights watching a target compound before anyone moves. Patience is a weapon. You study the guard rotations, the entry points, the escape routes. By the time the mission launches, you've already run it 100 times in your head. The mission launches at 2 a.m. You fast rope from the helicopter onto the rooftop in under 4 seconds. No lights, no noise. The element of surprise is your most powerful weapon, and you have exactly 30 seconds before that changes. Room clearing. Each doorway is a decision made in half a second. You train for this thousands of times so that when it's real, your body moves before your brain even processes what it's seeing. Hesitation is the most dangerous thing in a room. One of your teammates goes down, not fatally, but he can't move on his own. You don't think, you don't hesitate, you pick him up and you move. This is what the SEAL ethos means in practice. No one gets left behind, not ever, not for any reason. After the mission, there's a moment, always a moment, where you sit alone and process what just happened. Nobody talks about this part. The debrief covers the tactics. Nobody debriefs the inside of your head. You learn to carry that yourself. Back home between deployments, you sit at the dinner table with your family and they ask how it was. You say fine, because how do you explain what you've seen to someone who's never been there? You love them, but part of you is always still over there. 3 deployments in, you're a different person than the recruit who showed up at Coronado. Quieter, more aware. You've earned the respect of your team in the only way that matters in the SEALs, not by talking about what you can do, but by doing it when it counts. And the question now isn't whether you're good enough, it's how much further you want to go. Level 3, Platoon Chief. You're no longer just executing orders, you're the one giving them. 16 men, that's your platoon. Their lives, their training, their readiness, all of it falls on you now. Your job now is to make your platoon the sharpest unit in the entire team. You watch every drill, every exercise, every decision your men make. You know their strengths before they do, and you know their weaknesses better than they'd like. One of your newest operators is struggling not physically, but mentally. The weight of what this job asks of a person is starting to show. You pull him aside, not to discipline him, to talk, because the best chiefs aren't just tacticians. They're the people their men can actually come to. Your 4th deployment, Afghanistan. The mission brief was straightforward: locate and capture a high-value target, but nothing in the field is ever as straightforward as the brief. You're 2 hours in, and already the plan has changed 3 times. You call an audible. Change the entry point. Redirect 2 elements to cover the eastern wall. Your platoon moves without a word, just hand signals and years of training. This is what separates a good unit from a great one: the ability to adapt in complete silence. Contact. The compound wasn't empty the way intelligence said it would be. Your platoon takes fire from 3 directions at once. In the next 90 seconds, every decision you make will determine whether everyone goes home. You don't panic. You were built for exactly this moment. 1 man down, you're beside him in seconds, applying pressure, calling for extraction, keeping him conscious. The mission is still happening around you. You're doing 2 things at once, leading your platoon through a firefight and keeping your man alive. This is the weight of being chief. Everyone comes home. That's not always guaranteed in this job, and you know it better than anyone. As the helicopter lifts off and the compound disappears below you, you do a silent head count. 16 men went in. 16 men are coming out. Tonight, that's everything. The paperwork nobody talks about. After-action reports, equipment logs, incident documentation. Every detail of what happened recorded accurately, because the decisions made in this room will be studied by future operators who weren't there. Your report might save someone's life years from now. You look at your platoon standing in formation and you think about the chief who once did the same for you, the one who pulled you aside when you needed it, the one who trusted you before you trusted yourself. Now you are that person for 16 other men, and the responsibility of that never gets lighter, but it does get clearer. Level 4. Team leader. You now command an entire SEAL team, up to 300 personnel, including operators, support staff, intelligence analysts, and logistics. This is no longer about leading 16 men through a dark alley. This is about running a small military organization. Your mornings start with intelligence briefings covering multiple regions simultaneously. Threats in the Middle East, activity in Africa, a developing situation in Southeast Asia. You no longer have the luxury of focusing on one mission at a time. You have to hold all of it in your head at once. You now deal directly with Pentagon officials, intelligence agencies, and sometimes the White House Situation Room. The decisions made in these meetings don't just affect your team, they affect national security. Every word you say in these rooms carries weight you can feel. Joint operations with allied forces become a regular part of your role. British SAS, Australian SASR, Polish GROM, the world's elite forces. Building those relationships in peacetime is what makes combined operations work when it counts. A high-value target has been located. You have a 12-hour window before he moves. You coordinate the strike package air support, ground teams, extraction routes, contingencies for every possible outcome. Then you give the order and watch it unfold on screen, miles away from the men you just sent in. The mission succeeds. Target captured. All personnel accounted for. You allow yourself exactly one breath of relief before the next situation demands your attention. At this level, there is always a next situation. Not every mission ends the way the operations center hoped. You've attended too many of these ceremonies now. Each one stays with you. Each name on a folded flag is someone you trained, someone whose family you looked in the eye afterward. This is the cost of command that nobody prepares you for. Even at this rank, you never stop training. Not because you'll be fast roping into compounds anymore, but because physical discipline is how you maintain mental clarity. The day you stop pushing your body is the day your mind starts to soften, and a soft mind has no place leading men like these. A young operator comes to you the same look in his eyes you had 15 years ago, hungry, capable, and completely unaware of what this job will eventually ask of him. You tell him the truth, not to scare him, but because someone once told you the truth and it made you better. Standing here, looking at the same Pacific Ocean you first saw as a terrified trainee, you understand something now that you couldn't have understood then. This job was never about the missions. It was about the men beside you. Every rank, every deployment, every decision, it was always about bringing them home. And whatever comes next, that will never change. Level 5. Squadron Commander. You now oversee multiple SEAL teams operating across different continents simultaneously. The decisions you make don't just affect one team or one mission, they shape the entire direction of Naval Special Warfare operations for years to come. You brief 4-star generals now. Not the other way around. Your assessments of global threats, your recommendations on special operations strategy, these feed directly into decisions made at the highest levels of the United States government. The weight of that is something you never fully get used to. 3 simultaneous operations across 2 continents. You're managing all of them from this room. Somalia, Iraq, and the Philippines, each with its own team, its own intelligence picture, its own risks. Your job is to hold the entire board in your head and make the right call for each one without letting any of them bleed into the others. You're called into a joint meeting with the CIA and NSA. A threat has been developing for 8 months, multiple agencies, multiple intelligence streams, all pointing to the same place. They need a special operations assessment, they need your assessment, and they need it in 48 hours. You spend 2 days going through every piece of intelligence yourself, not because you don't trust your analysts, but because at this level you can't afford to be wrong. The operation you're about to recommend will put hundreds of operators in harm's way. Every assumption has to be challenged, every gap in the intelligence has to be acknowledged. You approve the operation. The room goes quiet for a moment after you say it because everyone in that room understands what those 2 words mean. Lives are now in motion based on your judgment. You've been in this position before, but it never feels routine. It shouldn't. You watch the operation unfold in real time. Hours of waiting compressed into moments of intense activity on screen. Every radio call, every position update, every silence that lasts a second too long, you feel all of it. Command at this level means carrying the weight of every person on that screen. Mission complete. All operators accounted for. Objective achieved. The room exhales. You shake a few hands, say a few words, then walk back to your office alone. Because tomorrow there is another operation already in planning, another threat already developing, another team already being asked to do the impossible. You speak at the graduation of a new BUD/S class. Looking out at those faces, exhausted, proud, completely unaware of what's coming, you see yourself 30 years ago. You tell them the truth about this job, not the version from movies, the real version, because they deserve to know exactly what they signed up for. The Secretary of Defense asks for your recommendation on the future of Naval Special Warfare. You give it honestly, not what they want to hear, but what the mission requires. That's what 30 years in the SEALs teaches you above everything else. The mission always comes first. The politics come last. And if those 2 things ever get reversed, people die. Level 6, Naval Special Warfare Commander. This is the top, the single highest position in all of Naval Special Warfare, overseeing every SEAL team, every special boat team, every support unit in the entire force, roughly 10,000 personnel. All of it flows through this office. Your first briefing in the White House Situation Room. The President is at the head of the table. The Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Director of the CIA, all in the same room, and they're listening to you. 30 years ago, you were covered in sand and seawater at 3 a.m., wondering if you could survive another hour. Now you're here. From this operations center, you can see every active special operations mission running simultaneously around the world. Somalia, Syria, the Philippines, the Pacific. At any given moment, your operators are in the dark, in the cold, in danger. And every single one of them trusts that the decisions being made in this room are worth it. Global partnerships are now a core part of your role. You meet regularly with the commanders of Allied Special Operations Forces, British, Australian, Israeli, Emirati. The threats the world faces don't respect borders, neither can the response. Congressional testimony. You sit before the Senate Armed Services Committee and answer questions about special operations budget, strategy, and accountability. Some questions are genuine, some are political. You answer all of them the same way, directly, accurately, and without revealing anything that would put your operators at risk. You come here alone sometimes, before the meetings, before the briefings, before the day pulls you in every direction. You stand here and you remember why all of it matters. These are the men who gave everything. Your job, your entire purpose at this rank, is to make sure the sacrifice was never wasted. You personally pin the tridents on the graduating class. You press each one in firmly, the same way yours was pressed into your chest decades ago on a beach in Coronado. You look each one of them in the eye. You don't say congratulations, you say welcome, because the real work starts now. The day comes when you write your final orders as commander. You sign the last document, hand it to your aide, and sit back in the chair for a moment. This office will belong to someone else soon, someone younger, who probably stood in the surf at Coronado wondering if they'd survive, just like you did. Your farewell address. You look out at the faces of the men and women who serve under you, and you tell them what 30 years in the SEALs actually taught you. Not tactics, not strategy. You tell them that the only thing that ever truly mattered, in every dark alley, in every impossible situation, in every moment when quitting seemed reasonable, was the person beside you. You come back to this beach one last time. No uniform, no rank, just you and the same ocean that tried to break you on day one. You think about the bell, the one you never rang. You think about the mud, the cold, the men you carried and the men who carried you. You think about every rank, every mission, every decision. And standing here now, you understand something completely. You were never fighting for a title or a rank or a position. You were fighting for the man to your left and the man to your right. That's what the trident means. That's what it has always meant. And no retirement ceremony, no matter how grand, can ever take that away from you.